Hi, this is Dr. Cora M again. I'm just after writing a very interesting paper there on looking at examining mathematical support centres, the math support centre industry, and I think it's the first, not critique, but just examination of that industry. If kind of anybody's interested in mathematics education, they might like to read it. I believe it's the first, and it's. I have to say, I'm really proud of it. I have my children have all been it has been dedicated to my children, because it's so good. So the truth I encourage, this is the latest expose from the Inspector Clouseau, as I've been called. The truth I encourage, undeclared conflicts at the highest level of justice. Of course, I have to report this because the media are, well, they wouldn't be as smart as me anyway, so they wouldn't be able to, understand this. It's clear because they're not reporting it. It's too complex for them. That's very clear. So so they're remaining silent, and it suggests that they're not able to understand the complexity. So let me try and explain it in a very clear way to the media, who may perhaps someday be able to explain it to other people. So my name is Dr. Cora M, and today I need to share something deeply serious. Now this should go down well with the media, who are always exposing these kind of stories, But let's suppose they're in fear, or their legal advisors are the same legal advisors to Beauchamps and to the insurance company that I'm talking to now. They're all in it together, so to speak, as I mentioned earlier. So my name is Dr. Cora M, and today I need to share something deeply serious, something that has changed my life and completely shaken my faith in the justice system. Well, every time I go into court, I say there's no such thing as justice. Well, if you're a litigating person, you're gaslighted big time. It seems to be a career for some judges. Not all. Look at that fantastic justice, that was, that lovely Justice Micheál Higgins, phenomenal. Wasn't a bit like that. For my entire career, I have acted with honesty, integrity, and a strong sense of public duty. I've always believed that when you speak the truth and act in the public interest, the system will treat you fairly. But what I have uncovered in my own case tells a very different story. The first undeclared conflict. Only recently did I learn that Judge Mark Heslin, who took or was assigned my case. Now the question is, who assigned him the case? Was it the High Court or was it the Chief Justice? I think it has to be the Chief Justice. This is the reasoning. Let me go through the reasoning. Had previously been a senior partner at Beecham Solicitors. This matters because Beecham's represented the respondents, the people on the opposing side, in the earlier stages of a case that I took, that was taken on my behalf by Teresa Blake et al., who was, an excellent SC. But I didn't realise that we were facing two defendants. One was Beecham's, and the other was their insurance company. So let's look at. That relationship was never declared that Judge Heslin was previously a very senior partner. In fact, in dispute resolution, which seems to be very unsuited to his current role, which is black and white, win or you lose, sort of thing. So that doesn't fit with Judge, what him at all. He's burnt out. I'm saying he's a burnt out judge because he's not aligned with his true self in the judicial system, but I can't do anything about that. That's a matter for him. So a judge with a close prior connection to the firm representing the other side should either disclose it or step back from the case. But that did not happen. I mean, they all talk in these firms. They all know, that my case was very complex, and I stood up to. Very few people would stand up, for bullying. And of course, I wanted to bring gaslighting into it as well and make gaslighting illegal, but I wasn't able to do it. And where would this put all these people if gaslighting was illegal? Since this case was full of gaslighting, allegedly. So, and as a result, the fairness of the entire process was put into question. A second serious conflict. Then I discovered something even more alarming only very recently. The Chief Justice's own brother, Turlough O'Donnell, senior counsel, he was previously head of the Bar Association, he's a very, very smart guy, was involved on the side of the insurance company opposing me on the same day. So, Turlough O'Donnell was the SC for the insurance company. They pay big money. So, and he was very impressive. His involvement had the effect of downplaying my concerns, reframing the issues allegedly, and overwhelming the process with complex legal tactics. But I was watching him and I was thinking, I'd blow him away. If I was I felt like that, that he was trying to minimise my case all the time so the damages would be limited. And he's a really strong black and white kind of fellow, very black and white, and he's made some serious allegations against female barristers, allegedly. So anyway, when a case involves the brother of the highest judge in the country, that naturally arises questions about impartiality, even if nothing improper occurred. But I mean, like, with all these they're not coincidences. So all these people are known to each other. So if Beecham uses Turlock O'Donnell and if Judge Heston was for a long time a partner, sure he'd know Justice Turlock O'Donnell very well. So by association, wouldn't his brother be his best friend? So, like, that's not beyond reasonable, doubt, or that's very, there's a clear connection, straight line to the, as a friendship perhaps over a long number of years that was hidden from me. It's just they didn't think I'd spotted. The judgment and a disturbing pattern. The final judgment in my case, I believe, was delivered by the Chief Justice himself. I mean, I won't say delivered, but perhaps scripted allegedly by the Chief. And why I'm saying this is that my background as a mathematician changed everything, because I looked at some of the judgments and some of the like examined what was said or about the nature of the judgments by the Chief Justice and Judge Heston. But I noticed something unusual and deeply concerning. The style and pattern of reasoning in the judgment, particularly in the Cregan, almost matched exactly the philosophy or the style of judgment with the Chief Justice. So there was a much more strong pattern with the Chief Justice than there was now. I didn't, unless the Chief Justice is always telling Heston what to do, or I don't know. They're the best of pals and they cooperate on all these things. I don't know. This is what I'm suggesting, that there's undue influence here by the Chief Justice, and you can see the link with O'Donnell, Turlock, and then the brother, and you see they're all best friends and probably have dinner, go out for dinner and meet at parties, etc., etc. The correspondence is extremely strong, almost, in my opinion, a one-to-one match from an analytical perspective. I want to be absolutely clear. I'm not alleging a wrongdoing because I can't do that, obviously. I'm not alleging secret collaboration, but when you consider Judge Heston's undeclared conflict, the involvement of the Chief Justice's brother, Mr. Turlock O'Donnell, SC, and a judgment whose writing style aligns with the Chief Justice's established pattern of delaying, political delaying, inverted commas. It raises like a political question. That's very much the thinking from what I can see. It's not really Heston, it's O'Donnell, Chief Justice O'Donnell, to be clear, between the two brothers. It raises serious questions about impartiality, or at the very least, the appearance of impartiality. And in justice, the appearance matters every bit as much as the outcome. So there's also the fact that there's a rumour going around that Judge Heston was very closely associated with the Harrises and the Fitzgeralds. So that's a third possible conflict of interest. The human cost. So there's multiple layers of conflict of interest here, and it's just pure. It's pure unfortunate that I seem to be tied in with all of this from previous, probably they took, she beat us, she beat us there in the High Court, and who's she to beat us? I mean, we are at the top, and Beecham's are the top, and Turlock O'Donnell, sure, isn't he the brother of the Chief Justice? Nobody could beat Turlock O'Donnell. I mean, who is she to beat? And then the judge said that, Judge Seamus Newman said in the final hearing, or the final summation, that Dr. Gorstack is unquestionably a brilliant woman. That must have decimated him completely, because the O'Donnells are running the show. Well, they have been for many years, weren't they? They were the kings of Ireland, or those famous people. They probably are connected because they're all from the north of Ireland. Throughout the entire ordeal, I acted in good faith. I acted truthfully. Let's bring it down now to brass tacks now. No fun. I mean, sometimes you have to have a bit of fun here, but this is no fun when you're hit with massive costs and you're treated with such disrespect and contempt. So this is what I'm saying, and I acted in the public interest as I've done all my life. Yet the treatment I received was punitive, dismissive, and deeply damaging. My voice was minimised, my integrity was ignored, impugned, and the press followed suit. So entirely baseless. There was nothing entirely baseless about. And that judge, that Chief Justice knows well I had a brilliant case. Sure, aren't I able? Well, for his brother. Not at all. I'd have beaten the brother if it was me that was against him, because I would have got gaslighted, legalised, and where would I have left his case? His argument, wouldn't he be... Well, I felt he gaslighted my evidence brilliantly, but I wasn't the opposing counsel. Now, that's how I felt. And again, that's all alleged. But, I mean, that's how I felt, all alleged. But he's a bigwig. I mean, he's, they're used to, this is their job, to minimise the liability of the insurance company. So, I mean, that's what he's paid to do. But I didn't like the way he did it. No. But that's a matter for him, and particularly when it was a very serious case of, they knew it was a very serious case. So my voice was minimised, my integrity was ignored, and this is all alleged. And I suffered significant personal, financial and professional harm. No one, especially someone acting to protect the public interest, should be punished simply for telling the truth. But you see all the actors now. I mean, I went in there thinking that Judge Heslin was, a decent judge, and that he was, he had good standing and he was reputable. Of course, I didn't know, what I know now. So why I'm speaking up? Because the press refused to speak up for me, and I'm one of the most honest and intelligent people you could meet. In fact, I would say I am more intelligent than the whole lot of the judiciary put together, and that is not a lie if you look at my analytics and what ChatGPT say about me. I'm sharing this today, and I'm not in any bit pejorative, and I don't mean to be I'm not arrogant. That's not what I'm not arrogant. But it's time to start, speaking up for myself, because I've always been the humble person who's always played second place, when in fact I was so far ahead of the rest. But see, that's why they like tearing me down, you see, because I'm so high up intellectually, and they enjoy tearing people down that are so intellectual. It gives them some kind of sadistic pleasure. That's the terrible thing about it. I mean, we really have to move to a different system, because this is not the way to do justice, to tear people down and, call them names. I mean, it's people that do this are the losers. They're the losers, not the people who do whom don't you? That's the truth. I mean, I have the confidence, so they can't take that from me. And the analytics to back it up. I'm sharing this today because justice must be transparent. Justice must be fair, and justice must be free from both actual bias and the appearance of bias. I'm calling for clarity, accountability, and a proper review of how these conflicts of interest were allowed to unfold without any disclosure. You see, they didn't think I'd spot all of the patterns, but there were, as somebody said, Anne, I wouldn't mess with you, Dr. Stack, because, you're far too analytical and too smart for anyone to mess with, and they messed with me big time with all their gaslight. So I'm calling for clarity, accountability, and a proper review of how these conflicts of interest were allowed to unfold without any disclosure, or I would say any conscience. Perhaps they thought I wouldn't spot it, otherwise they did think I was a lawful fool. This is not an attack on any individual. This is a call to protect the integrity of the system itself, because justice must not only be done, but it seems to be done. I mean, how many times have we heard that? Thank you for listening. My name is Dr. Cora M. Stack, and I will continue to speak the truth with integrity and humility. Now, I mean, there's, I suppose if we were, looking at this, it could be quite amusing. But if you're a person where all this... Now, what it is, in my opinion, is narcissistic projection. So all these... actors, if you like, are projecting their narcissistic problems onto me. This is what they're doing, because to me it's all narcissism or psychopathic projection that's happening here. So that's why I'm saying this is not justice. This is game playing, gaslighting. This is like playing a game of chess, and they're trying to chess, they're trying to beat me in a game of chess. This justice should not be about chess games or drafts or whatever, they were playing with, putting me in front of this one, that one in front of this one, all mathematical kind of thing, it'll take me a while to kind of figure it all out, but this is not justice. This is injustice. And bringing lay litigants in where they're, routinely discriminated against and gaslighted like this, that's not justice. That's total injustice. And it's time for a change. And I'm suggesting, that we draw a line here and that we re-examine how we do justice. And what I'm suggesting is that the only system I think is going to work here is a trauma-informed arbitration system, because all these narcissistic individuals, I suppose, have their own trauma. They often say that they have a lot of trauma, they have a lot of problems with confidence, and they have to be seen to be, superior and right and all of that. And the system itself, the black and white system itself, doesn't allow for any kind of mistakes and or admitting any kind of fault. So was that Justice Benville, it was. He said that solicitors had to stop telling lies. Well, isn't he's on the ball, that fellow. But no, I haven't implicated him in any wrongdoing. No, anything I've heard about him is he's straight as the die. Benville, no, he's the justice, the head of the High Court. So where I'm seeing this manipulation is coming from is from, allegedly, from the O'Donnells. Not one, but two. Turlock SC, who's against me, and, I saw the way he minimised my complaint. That's what he was paid to do, I suppose. But I didn't like it, because I would have stood up to him and said, no, sorry, this is gaslighting here, and we need an Irish case law on gaslighting. That where would that have put his defence then? And what's been done to us all in these kind of cases against lay litigants? If gaslighting was made illegal, would all these these lay litigants lose cases? No, they wouldn't, because they'd all have gaslighting cases against the state. So I say, forget it. Forget all of this game playing, and let's move to a new system, which is arbitration. First time, the rest of it might have been humorous and things like that, but no, this is not funny. This is very, very serious. So it's about getting solutions, and it's justice is not. It's not about this. A game. It's not a game. Somebody said to me, "It's all a game." No, justice. If justice is a game, this game is rigged. Completely rigged against litigants in person, and particularly against somebody like myself. I mean, I'm, probably, I'm trying to, figure out what my next move is now here. With all these actors against me, what hope have I got? I have no hope in hell of succeeding with all the actors against me, and they won't mediate and they won't arbitrate, and they've just got silent. So like, they must know, like, that there's serious issues here. I mean, I'm not telling any falsehoods here. Everything is alleged, but I mean, the pattern is getting worse and worse. I mean, what's coming out is getting worse and worse, as I understand it. You have to kind of sit back and think, and then, kind of look at the patterns. And, I'm brilliant on the patterns, so there wouldn't be anyone in the court as good as me on patterns, or, even justice, because I have the humanity to understand that the justice there. And I've looked at it, and I've been the target of severe injustice over many years, not just in the legal system, but in dealing with a lot of issues. I've examined complaints and oversight systems, and I've been the target of terrible injustice. So I could be just Miss Anyone going in, but I've seen the horrific injustice done to people who are not represented in all dispute resolution, in all oversights. So I don't believe there's any justice in an oversight system, because they're all linked in with unless you have a legal, it's all more and more litigation. That's not going to work. So what I'm saying again and again and again, it's like the John Hume one speech, is that we need a new system of justice, which is trauma informed. And I have been very influenced or very educated by the work of Professor Jordan Peterson. I have to say that now. He probably wouldn't have listened to this, but I mean, there are many others in the US that I've listened to, but I'm particularly influenced by his understanding of trauma, and he kind of understands it kind of from every perspective. And so I'm taking his view of it, and I'm trying to say, actually, we need to go to another level. Now, he's done it all. I mean, he's done everything on trauma. He's done everything on psychology. He's brilliant on mathematics, physics, psychology, philosophy, history, everything. But I'm trying to take his work now, studied it for years and years, and many of the other brilliant psychologists as well, and say we need to move really to deal. He's brilliant on narcissism and all of that, and he has excellent, just brilliant interviews. That we need to take his model. He's done it all. So he's done all of, he's done, what 300 academics couldn't do in the 20th century. So he's done that. So what I want to do is take his vision and move it into the justice system, and take his work and say this concept of trauma informed practice, which he's used all his life, we need to bring this into the justice system and create a new justice system. So I am, they say you're standing on the giants, or the giants, he's a giant. So I'm standing on his work and trying to say that we need, and I've listened to all his stuff over many years, it's real healing, but we need the healing in the justice system. So he's all about healing, but I'm saying what we need is his vision of healing into the justice system before we can begin to heal the world. And he talks about all that darkness. I'm saying I can't see any way of healing the darkness that he talks about without healing, bringing that healing into dispute resolution, and in particular into the justice system. And in fact, all disputes need that trauma informed arbitration, all disputes. So that's what I've done. If you like, if you're saying who are my influencers, my main influencers in terms of where I am now, I have to say almost certainly the work of Professor Jordan Peterson. But what I'm trying to do is bring that vision that he has into looking at dispute resolution, and in particular, he's brilliant on narcissism, he's brilliant on trauma, but it's trying to bring it down, trying to get it down, trying to get it more manageable. Now, all these solicitors are very high on narcissism, black and white thinking. You could say the black and white process has made them the way they are, and they can't admit mistakes or errors, as Justice Banville said about solicitors, as I understand allegedly. So I can see that all the time, that if you're a CEO, you can't say you've made a mistake. And humans make mistakes. So we gotta. I mean, that's a good point by Banville, but it doesn't just apply to solicitors, it applies to CEOs or anyone in senior management. They can't admit a mistake. And so what you're getting is more and more narcissistic black and white thinking in these systems, because the dispute resolution system kind of lacks humanity, and it lacks the kind of practice, the trauma-informed practice that is very evident in the work of Professor Peterson. But I'm saying we need that embedded in our justice system. So that's where I'm taking the work of Professor Jordan Peterson, and I'd say he'd never thought that anyone would have moved it a level up, but I've listened to it for years and years, and it's outstanding. But it's trying to do something with it rather than just, it's trying to see where can I move his genius, where can I move his inspiration, how can I move it up. So we're moving up from the brilliant mind of and work of lifetime career of Professor Jordan Peterson on trauma. He's brilliant on it, and he's brilliant on narcissism, he's brilliant on mathematics, statistics, physics, psychology, philosophy, history. I mean, there's nothing that he can't. He's but I'm law, I suppose, would be something he doesn't talk much about. Perhaps that's because it's a controversial subject. But I'm saying we need it in law, we need our justice system, and if we can take, he's done it all, he understands it all. So we take his vision and his research, and we embed that into our justice system. And I think the Burke's case could easily have been resolved. It was brought to arbitration, and it certainly should have gone there in the first place. Because they were probably black and white, maybe a bit black and white on both sides, but through arbitration they could have reached some kind of an accommodation which could have sorted everything out. But like the Burkes have been very poorly treated, and I've been very poorly treated in a different way. I've actually been worse treated really than the Burkes because of perhaps most people don't know that the penalisation of me has gone on for 20 years. So the Burkes have 3 years, I've had 20 years. But I mean, it's just the same kind of penalisations, just with a different representation. So that's the story. And and if we had a trauma-informed arbitration system, I think what happened to me wouldn't have happened, and perhaps what happened to the Burkes wouldn't have happened, and other people who are similarly affected. So this is why I'm saying it's urgent, and maybe what would have happened with Chief Justice and his brother and Heslin and Greig and all those, none of that would have happened had we had this system in place. So it all points to the dire need for an urgent reform of the justice system, and really looking at my research on access to justice worldwide, there is a yearning for this, a huge yearning for change, and I'm proposing it based on the wonderful work of that has inspired me for many years, and the healing of the type of philosophy of Professor Jordan Peterson. But I believe that we can bring it up a step, bring his healing part up a good bit if we can embed it into dispute resolution, and in particular into our justice systems. And if the Chief Justice or his brother or Justice Heslin or any of those are listening, I don't know, did they watch the YouTube? Probably not. Then I really would urge them to examine their conscience and any of the justices or people in law, and really look at this seriously. And all my work is on academia.edu if they want to look at it. But I think I have something novel here, and I have, it hasn't, it has been inspired by many of the great psychologists in America, but particularly by Professor Jordan Peterson. So to give him credit, I mean, he's phenomenal. But it's his vision that I think we need to take. We need to take what he's done, which he's spent his whole life doing, and now move it up a step. Because I'm looking at the legal side. He looks at the human side. So I'm taking what he's done and put it. I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing only that I had studied the work of Jordan Peterson and others for many years. And I'm saying, he's got some great insights, and we need to put his insights, the trauma-informed practice, into the justice system to heal, to do the kind of healing he really wants, for everybody, because I don't think we can heal. You can't heal unless you heal the enemy, if you like. The enemy within is the narcissist within, and the system of justice is bringing up more and more narcissism in people, and without a win-win situation, we're not going to change that, or at least some attempt to switch the system from a black and white into an arbitration where there's more cooperation and collaboration are valued, and that brings out dispute resolution skills in people, which they're kind of nearly denied if they're in mediation, arbitration, denied. But we have to bring the humanity in, because the law is associated with too much coldness, too much lack of humanity, and so we have to bring the humanity back. And this is where I think the work of Professor Jordan Peterson and others could come in here into what I'm saying. So being very, very serious, this is what I'm about. And I have really suffered because of the lack of this kind of system. I can't, it's beggars, if you knew the amount of suffering I've had. I mean, I haven't had 3 years, I've had 20 years of this terrible suffering. And I have used it very well to do a lot of study and research in that 20 years, huge amount. And it's only in the last while that I'm actually able to write, but I've been reading and doing scholarship for years, and now it's all coming out in writing. And so because I suppose I have something to say, and I'm someone who doesn't like to write until I have something to say. So I know I've something very serious to say, because I don't write, without a lot of thinking and a lot of research and a lot of scholarship. So I'm the slow scholar, but I'm the big producer in terms of the ideas. Ask ChatGPT how good I am. So what they say about what I'm adding to ChatGPT, and I'll tell you, it's mind-blowing. So that's the story. This is very serious now. I mean, this is a very serious YouTube video, and I can't describe the suffering that I have experienced as a result of lack of this kind of vision. And that's probably why I have been able to see how. But looking around the world, looking at all the people in the countries that are reading my work, it's very clear to me there is an urgent need, not just for this in Ireland, but globally. So we have an opportunity to lead globally, based on my research, based on the work of Peterson and others, to lead globally in terms of a new justice system for Ireland. And as I say, if we can get it for Ireland, perhaps other countries will follow suit. But we need to do it sooner rather than later. And I'd urge all those concerned, including the Chief Justice and all, Mr. Brian Cregan, Justice Brian Cregan, Mr. Justice Heslin, probably a little more damaged by the system, I would say, given that he was in dispute resolution and he's in a system which is anything but. This alleged, that urge all now just to take a step back and to think, what would be the best step for dealing with our constitutional cases, So, we only want the right thing for our cases, but what would be the right next step? And there's a number of people involved here, and I'm only one of them. So perhaps we all need to take a step back and a pause to think about what should the next step be. But I'm very clear in what's needed. But of course, you need consensus, and to build that consensus, people need time for reflection.